Which mandatory counseling session was clearly just fishing for dirt on you. I was a specialist working supply logistics at Fort Benning. My job was tracking equipment orders and inventory. Pretty straightforward stuff. Sign for gear, log it in the system, make sure everything matched. 3 months into the assignment, I noticed something weird in the records. Our motor pool kept ordering the same replacement parts over and over. Alternator belts, brake pads, fuel filters, same items every 2 weeks like clockwork. But our vehicles weren't breaking down that often. I'd been tracking maintenance schedules, and the numbers didn't add up. We were ordering parts for trucks that hadn't even left the garage. I mentioned it to my roommate Everett one night. He worked in the motor pool. You guys burning through brake pads every other week? He looked confused. Nah, most of our fleet's barely been driven this month. Why? That's when I knew something was off. I pulled the records going back 6 months. Over $40,000 in parts ordered for vehicles that didn't need them. Someone was either incredibly incompetent or running some kind of scam. I didn't report it right away. Wanted to make sure I had the facts straight before accusing anyone of anything. Spent my evenings cross-referencing purchase orders with actual maintenance logs. The pattern was clear. Every order was approved by the same person, Sergeant First Class Donovan Pierce from the motor pool. He'd been signing off on parts requisitions that made no mechanical sense. I was planning to take my findings to the supply officer when I got called into an unexpected meeting. Email from the chaplain's office. Mandatory counseling session for all junior enlisted. This Thursday at 1400 hours. Seemed random, but whatever. Army's always got some required training or counseling thing. I showed up at the chaplain's office expecting a group session about stress management or financial planning. Instead, it was just me and Chaplain Sterling. Nice enough guy, but I barely knew him. Never attended services or sought counseling before. Specialist, thanks for coming. Have a seat. He gestured to a chair across from his desk. Office was small, quiet, just us. This is about your adjustment to the unit, making sure you're settling in okay. Any concerns about your work or living situation? Seemed innocent enough. I gave standard answers. Work's fine. Barracks are fine. Getting along with everyone. Then he started asking weird questions. How's your relationship with the motor pool NCOs? Anyone giving you trouble? Why would he ask that specifically? I handled supply for the whole battalion. Motor pool was just one section. Everything's good, Chaplain. No issues with anyone. He nodded slowly, making notes. Sometimes junior soldiers see things that concern them. Things that might not be their business, but they feel obligated to report. You ever experienced that? My stomach dropped. This wasn't random counseling. Someone knew I'd been looking into those records. Can't say I have, Chaplain. What about discrepancies? Ever notice paperwork that doesn't match up? Easy to make mistakes in supply work. Lots of numbers and forms. He was fishing, trying to figure out what I knew without directly asking, making it sound casual, like he was just checking on my well-being. I'm pretty careful with my paperwork, Chaplain. Triple check everything. Of course. He leaned back in his chair. You know, if a soldier discovered something irregular, the right thing to do would be reporting it through proper channels, not spreading rumors or making accusations. There it was. The real reason for this meeting. Someone had tipped off Pierce that I was looking into his requisitions. Now they were trying to figure out if I planned to report it. I understand, Chaplain. Chain of command for everything. Exactly. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. So we're clear? No concerns about any administrative issues? I could feel my jaw clenching. This chaplain was running interference for a fraud scheme, using his position to intimidate me into staying quiet. No concerns, Chaplain. Wonderful. Well, if anything comes up, you know where to find me. My door's always open. I left that office knowing I was either going to report this properly or get buried by it. Went straight to the Inspector General's office, told them everything. The parts orders, Pierce's signatures, and the suspicious counseling session. Turned out I wasn't the first person to notice. 2 other supply clerks had caught the same pattern months earlier. Both got called for mandatory counseling with Chaplain Sterling. Both dropped their concerns afterward. Investigation revealed Pierce had been selling parts on the civilian market for 3 years, over $200,000 in stolen equipment. He'd cut Sterling in on the scheme, used his chaplain access to identify and intimidate anyone who got suspicious. Pierce got 7 years in military prison. Dishonorable discharge. Full restitution ordered. Sterling got charged with conspiracy and abuse of his position. Defrocked. Dishonorably discharged. Served 4 years. Me got promoted to sergeant ahead of schedule. IG put me in for a commendation for refusing to back down despite the intimidation. But here's the kicker. After the investigation wrapped, they reviewed all of Sterling's counseling sessions for the past 3 years. Found 17 other soldiers he'd called in for mandatory counseling about various issues. All 17 were quietly investigating problems that would have exposed corruption in different units. Sterling had been the go-to guy for dirty NCOs across the entire installation. Anyone needed a soldier scared silent, they sent them to the chaplain. 4 more courts-martial came out of those sessions. Sterling had been protecting thieves, fraudsters, and incompetent officers for years under the cover of spiritual guidance. Last I heard, the Army completely overhauled their chaplain oversight protocols because of that case. Now every private counseling session gets documented with a third party present, all because I asked why we were ordering so many brake pads.